she hugged me. Oh my goodness, am I gonna cry? I don't want to cry. There's no way.
Yeah, Luda, no.
Can we even keep that in? Hello. Welcome back to LUDACAST Tuesday. Welcome back. We are back in my setup. Still can't speak. We are back in my setup, and I'm happy to be home. I am super lounge, super comf. If you're watching the video, you can see I have my hero shirt on once again, and some Minecraft PJ pants. I actually was going to film this on my bed, or a bed, because we have a guest bedroom downstairs I was going to use. But then I was like, oh, I don't have a mic setup that I can bring down there. And then I'd have to bring all the camera setup down there, and I have to bring all my Go XLR down there. So I decided, you know what? We're just going to do it in my room. And we're just going to chill. And we're just going to have a good time. So here we are in my room. Hello. We have the new shelf set up. If you're watching on the video, you haven't seen the shelf yet. So this is my new shelf. I haven't gotten that video out yet. I'm a little bit behind on Ludawissy videos because I posted my Ludwig and then Valorant video, which were both recent. I still have Christmas videos to post out. I have a Christmas karaoke video and my shelf building video, and I think a vlog of hanging with my cousins. So I have 3 videos that I'm behind on before I film other ones. I just have a really bad habit of filming everything and then not having time to edit because I just keep going and being like, hey, you should like actually chill. So I will get those videos out eventually. Eventually they will come out. But I'm here. I'm excited to be filming a LUDACAST tonight. Pardon if my mic sounds a little... I feel like I can hear it in my own ears and I don't like it. So if it sounds like that, I'm so sorry. I'll make sure I'll fix it later. But today, I decided I wanted to talk a little about mental health. Yay! Feel like some people love the topic. Oh, my arms. Oh, I did chest and shoulders and back, and my arms are so sore. I can't move them. That plus Beat Saber, I can't move them. I genuinely just lifted my hands and I can't move them. Anyways, I lifted them again. I feel like some people they love the topic. They are super open about talking about mental health and they are down to talk about it whenever they get the chance. And then there's some people that are so over it. They're so over the convo. They're so over normalizing it. They're like, we get it. You guys have issues. Shut up. But to those people, I say, no. Like, everyone talks about allergies and complains about allergies, gives tips about allergies, says, hey, does anyone else have allergies right now? And everyone's like, oh, I'm dealing with allergies. And they're like, oh, thank you. Because I thought I was the only person dealing with allergies. Now I don't feel so alone. Or, hey, my allergies are really bad. Does anyone have tips? And everyone's like, oh, use this or this or this. And everyone's like, thanks. I don't see anybody complaining about the people bringing up allergies. I don't see those comments. I don't see those conversations of, we should really stop bringing up allergies. Or we should stop glamorizing allergies. Or, oh, the young generation likes to do is talk about their allergies. No. Because it's normal. And you know what this conversation is? Normal. So, I just want to get that out there. Because I know some people are probably like, oh, goodness, like another mental health thing. But it's like, yeah. Because it's something I deal with. It's something I've dealt with in the past and not had anyone to talk to about it. And didn't know really anything about it. And it's something that's just good to talk about. I personally enjoy talking about mental health because I like getting other people's perspectives on it. Because I grew up touring the world and meeting people and talking to people and learning about their mental health. But it was never a kind of like open discussion. It was more so they came to us, they came to me, and that was it. And I tried my best to help them and give my advice, but it was never like so what do you think about it? So I enjoy learning new perspectives because I've only had one for so long that I like to open up my perspective, and it forces me because it's so hard because I hate change and I hate like in my brain it's like, no, I'm scared. I don't want to have this conversation because what if it's this, what if that? But it's like, it's good to open up perspectives and be like, oh, hey, that's actually that I agree with, you know, and I would never know that if I didn't have those conversations. So, we're gonna talk about mental health today, and I asked you guys to ask me questions on my Instagram. Ask me your mental health questions if you felt comfortable doing so, and it's all gonna be anonymous. Obviously, I'm not gonna just be like, so and so said this. I'm not gonna put you on blast, so don't worry. But I asked on my Instagram if you want to be a part of these kind of discussions. My Instagram is Ludawissy. It's also linked in the bio. So I do want to include you guys in discussions and podcasts. So if you ever want to join in, it'll be on my Instagram. But yeah, I'm excited to open it up. I haven't seen any of the questions yet. I didn't open it. I wanted to keep a fresh mind, and I didn't want to rehearse any of my answers because I'm the type of person I legit was showering before this and was practicing my intro. I was practicing what I was going to say, and I forgot what I was going to say, so I didn't remember. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to practice it because I want it to be a raw and very vulnerable and open chat. Because I feel like, one, that helps us all. Because if I'm over here already have notes and a prepared answer, there could be things that I don't say because I'm like, what if it's taken this way, or what if this, or what if that? I don't want to come off as wrong, or not come off as wrong, but like come off as like aggressive, or come off as like judging someone. That fear could keep me from saying something that could help someone. And also it pushes me. I feel like this is a little bit of a therapy session because it pushes me to be vulnerable without having a prepared answer. Because I'm the type of person, because of my past, growing up with the band, I had prepared answers for interviews. We knew what to say. We knew when to say it. We knew when to speak. We knew when not to speak. So it's very hard for me to have conversations like these and not feel like I need to edit around it. And my podcast allows me to kind of force myself into being okay with pauses and and just kind of seeming in my head dumb, but being just human overall. Because it's not dumb to just sit there and think. Thinking is good. Listening is good. Sitting in your thoughts is good. And some people should do it a little more often, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's me. Sometimes I'm the someone. But all that to say, I'm 18. I am not a professional. I do see a therapist. So like majority of what I'm going to say will probably be some of the stuff I've learned from her because she has helped me so much. She's my therapist and also a Christian counselor. So I absolutely love her to death. And also just from my past experience with the band and touring, and met so many people who went through so many different mental health things, but also a lot of people dealt with the same thing. And it was just interesting to see how alone these people felt when in reality I would talk to someone who dealt with the same thing in another city. And yet they both felt so alone because they didn't know the other person was dealing with it. But I got to go around and see all these people like, oh, they deal with the same thing, but they feel so alone. They feel like they're the only person that deals with it. But I just met two people that dealt with the exact same situation. And so I feel like I got a little bit of like 0.2% credentials out of 100% because I have a little bit of a past within just meeting a bunch of people that dealt with a lot of other things and got to hear what they were going through, either how they overcame it or how they were overcoming it, or I was able to give them advice and then heard that it worked, which thank goodness. I don't know how little 16-year-old Lulu gave good advice, but hey, I'm glad it helped someone. And then also I have gone through my own stuff, so I will be speaking just on behalf of myself. But yeah, this is just my personal opinions and things that have helped me, or whatever we talk about is all just in my own head. So if I say anything and you're like, hey, I don't think that's true, that's okay. You don't have to, because we're all different people. Or if I say something and you're like, huh, that kind of came off like that didn't really sound great. I'm human and I'm probably going to say some things that don't make sense because I ramble and I over explain. So just know it's all coming out of love. I'm like over explaining that I over explain because I don't want anyone to feel like I'm invalidating their experiences or issues. I'm gonna stop talking though and get into it because I'm done over explaining. I am not allowing myself to do it anymore. All right, I'm going to go to my Instagram and open it up and see all of your questions. Oh my goodness, there's so many responses. Okay, we're gonna start with this. Also, I would like to just say for anyone who's dealing with anything, mental health wise, just know that I personally, I know some people are like, oh, we're all here for you, we get it. And it's like, it can feel a little bit, kind of ingenuine because it's like they say they get it, but you're like, you don't get it. Like, I get that you're trying to be nice, but you don't get it. Like, this is hell to live through. Like, you don't understand. I hope that you can understand that I do get it. I recently found out I'm one of those people that will is very stubborn when admitting that they deal with things. And I had multiple people multiple people tell me that I had signs of OCD growing up and ADHD growing up, and I refused. I was like, no, I didn't. No, I don't. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm A-OK. Ain't nothing off. I'm good. I'm Gucci. And within the past couple weeks, Lulu has decided to stop being stubborn and finally admit to what everyone's kind of been encouraging her to accept that I deal with OCD and ADHD. The ADHD I have accepted a little bit easier, and that was last year. I talked to my therapist, and that's where a lot of my anxiety comes from, just because if anyone's brain, if you have ADHD, you understand your brain's going a million miles per hour, constantly thinking, constantly grabbing things and shooting it into your brain and stimulating parts of your brain. And it's so hard when you just want to relax and your brain's like, go, 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 go. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Or on the contrary, you're trying to focus on a task. You have two things. You got to do homework and you got to clean your laundry. And to someone or to some people with ADHD, those two tasks seem debilitating. Yes, debilitating. It seems like it's going to take forever. And I will just sit there and be like, I don't have time to do either of them. Like, I'm going to get to the end of the day and have no time. I can't do anything. I can't go out. Someone be like, hey, do you want to go to the grocery store? I'm like, I can't. I'm busy all day. They're like, what do you have? Homework, and I got to clean my laundry. They're like, that'll take you no time at all. Nope. You don't understand. I'm going to be up all night. And they're like, no, you're not. And then am I up all night? No. And then I feel foolish because I'm like, oh my word, they were right. And it's just a cycle. If you have ADHD, you understand. So I that causes a lot of my anxiety, which I learned to accept a little bit last year. And then within this first month of 2023, talking to my therapist is just about OCD. I feel like I'm very open about my mental health. I just don't go super into it because part of my life is just for me, you know? It is that making sure I have that line of Luda and what is shared online, and I still want to be human and be open with you guys because there's no point of me being like, I'm perfect. I don't deal with nothing. I'm great. I smile all the time. Because that's going to lead to burnout, and that's going to lead to me never being live or breaking down on a live. I don't want that to happen. So I feel like I do a good job at being open with you guys, but there is also just part of it that's like, I'm not going to share every detail because I still need a part of me. Social media is not, we're not used to social media. Our brains were not programmed for social media. So like, I still want to make sure there's still a part of me that is kept for me. So I feel like I'm pretty open about it, but I haven't really discussed OCD a lot on my pages. But my chair's so squeaky. Yes, it beep, beep, beep. But yeah, recently I discovered that I do deal with OCD and a bunch of different types of OCD. I know when I first heard about OCD growing up, I thought it was just, you know, light switches or everything had to be perfect or like in order. Like if there was three things, it had to be perfectly symmetrical or like I don't know, that kind of like the perfection stuff. And while I deal with a lot of perfection stuff, there is a lot of other parts of OCD. And if you'd like me to go into that, or I even have thought about reaching out to people that specialize in that stuff, like specialize in OCD or mental health, and inviting them onto the podcast because I think it'd be really cool. I think it'd be cool to have a professional sit there and ask them questions and pick their brains. And also just beneficial, you know, to have a actual professional be there and talk. But there's a lot more to OCD than just that. it is intrusive thoughts, and it is patterns and ruminating on things, and it causes anxiety because if you don't think on this compulsion and if you don't act on this compulsion, then you get anxiety. But if you do act on the compulsion, you only get temporary relief before another anxious thought pops up. So I deal a lot with a bunch of different types of OCD. If you want to look into it, you can. If you don't want to, I understand. Because if you don't deal with it, you're probably like, that sounds terrible. And I'm not even looking into it because I wouldn't either if I didn't deal with it. But there's a bunch of different OCDs that you can deal with. And one of the ones I didn't even know existed was spiritual OCD or religious OCD. And I thought it was a normal thing. And I feel like everything I learn about, I'm like, wait, that's not normal. And my therapist is like, no, you poor child. No, it's not normal. And I'm like, wait, everyone deals with that though. And she's like, name someone. And I'll be like, I don't want to out them. So just to give a little bit of brief of spiritual OCD before we get into the questions, it is just for me, growing up, I would always pray, God, please save me. God, please save me. God, please save me. Like I would literally pray every night to get saved because I was scared I wasn't saved. I was scared that I didn't actually say it right, or I didn't like pray right, or I didn't talk to God right, or I sinned so I had to do it again, or I just had to make sure, that was religious OCD. Or feeling like if I don't say the prayer just right, or if I don't name every single person that I literally know, I'm a terrible person or a terrible Christian, and they're not going to be okay because I didn't pray for them. Something bad's going to happen to them, so I have to pray for them. Spiritual OCD. Or being so terrified that I'm not doing God's will that I don't do anything because I'm like, I don't want to mess up. I don't want to not do what God wants me to do. So I just won't do anything. Religious OCD. And I laugh about it, and it's like funny when you look out of it. When you're not in it, you're like, well, that's silly goose, obviously. But when you're in it, it's so different, man. It's so, I can't describe it. I genuinely can't describe it because when you're in it, you just feel like everything in your head is true. But at the same time, it's all lying to you. So you're like, I don't know what to believe. And compulsions are things that like you do to try to get that temporary relief from your anxiety, whether that's asking for reassurance from friends or praying or quoting verses. And yes, that stuff is good. I'm not saying don't do that. This is specifically for people with OCD. Those are compulsions. And so for me, if I had a intrusive thought, let's just say it was like, oh my word, like I am thinking about this really graphic image. I'm so scared for my life. I'm paranoid. Let me quote this verse to get a temporary relief. That's a compulsion. And I can't explain it all because I'm still looking into it all, but I realized, oh my word, yes, that does line up with what I do because it doesn't actually bring real peace that God gives you, real peace that I have felt before. It gives you this little temporary like band-aid of like, okay, you can feel good for a little bit instead of actual peace, which heals that wound. So yeah, I didn't know that was a thing, and I realized, oh my word, my entire childhood, I have always been scared I'm not actually saved. I've always been scared I'm not praying right. I've always been scared, like, whenever they at church are like, if there's a sin you've been holding on to, like, come to the altar and just give it to God. And my brain would really literally go into like deep dive history mode of like, what is something I've done terribly bad? Oh my word, I've had to do something terribly bad because I'm not perfect. Because if I say I'm perfect, then I'm sinning then. So what is something I've done terribly bad? Oh my word, when I was in 3rd grade, I literally told someone that their shoes were ugly. I need to go apologize to them. And it's so silly. It's so silly. But it's just stuff like that. So I realized I deal with a lot of OCD. And then I also deal with some of just the like tapping things where it's just, I don't have the thoughts that come with it, where some people feel like something bad's going to happen to someone they love if they don't do it. I just have like a nails on a chalkboard kind of feeling within my body. If I don't like, let's say I tap right, left, if I don't tap right again, there's like a party, and not all the time. There's just like random little compulsions. I feel like there's like nails on a chalkboard in my skin. It feels awful. And I've tried to fight it before. I've tried to be like, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And then I do it because the more you interact with the thought, the more your brain is like, shoot it to him, like they need to hear this, they need to hear this. So, and there's no pill that fixes OCD. There is no prescription. Prescription is time and living within it, which when I learned that, it really, really broke me, because I was like, wait, so you're telling me like I have to deal with this forever? Like, you just told me this wasn't normal. You just told me that there's people who don't feel like this, but you're telling me I don't get to live a life like that. And that broke me when I first heard that. Because I was like, well, then why'd you tell me? I'd rather live thinking everyone else lived like this than knowing that everyone else doesn't have to live like this, but I have to. But you can ease it by letting those intrusive thoughts come in and not interacting with them, which is one of the hardest things ever. If I told you, think of a pink elephant, think of a pink elephant. Now, don't think of that pink elephant. Don't think of it at all. Don't even look at it. Don't think of a pink elephant. Don't think of a pink elephant. What's in your brain? A pink elephant. Because if you tell yourself not to think something, it's gonna be there. You're interacting with that thought. Instead of me just saying a pink elephant, a pink elephant, a pink elephant. Sure, a pink elephant might pop up in your brain, but eventually it'll leave, because you're not sitting there going, don't think, don't think, don't think, don't think, don't think. You're letting it come, you're letting it go. But it's just really hard. It's really hard coming from someone who deals with OCD, anxiety, and ADHD. My brain grabs onto those thoughts and worries until I'm sick about them. And it's just hard because it grabs onto what you care about most. And it's tough, because if it grabbed onto, stinking, I can't even think of anything. My PC, I was worried it was gonna blow up. Sure, it sucked, but like, if it blows up, I'll fix it. But it's like, no, this is a worry about people. It's worried about death of people. It's worried about diseases. It's worried about your own health. You can literally create pains in your body. I have worried so hard. I feel pains within certain parts of my body because my brain's like, it's there, it's actually there. No, you're like, for real this time, it's there. I've convinced myself that I'm literally having a heart attack, because it's like, oh my word, my heart hurts. You know what hurts? The muscles around my heart, because I'm so tensed and so worried. That like it's appearing, but it's not as my brain is putting it. So I just want to put that out there, that if you have all the way back if you've had people that were like, oh, like, we understand, we're here for you, but it also seems like they've never actually dealt with something severe, and you feel like, no, they don't actually understand. No, I understand the severe side of it, because it comes with a lot of thoughts that are unwanted. And a lot of people will talk about how some suicidal thoughts, they're not even depressed. They're just intrusive thoughts that come in, and you're like, I don't want them. I don't want to think of this. Why is it here? And it's such a confusing thing, because it's like, I don't want to think like this. I'm good. Like, I am happy and I want to continue living. Why is this thought here? And why am I worrying about it? So just know that, like, I'm not trying to prove that, like, I'm one of the people that do it. I'm just trying to, like, I don't know. I feel like if I was going through something, hearing someone's own story of like actually dealing with some heavy stuff would have me be like, oh snap. So they do. Okay, those people do understand. Okay, yeah. I feel a little bit safer because those people understand. I've done it before. I've literally listened to podcasts or videos or stuff because they talk about their things, and I'm like, oh, so they're not one of those people that just say they understand. They actually do live through like this living hell, and they understand. They understand because they've lived it. They don't understand because they've heard about it. So I just want to put that out there, that you can get through it. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. It gets hard. It gets easy. It gets a little bit tougher. It gets a little bit easier. There's highs. There's lows. It's never linear. It's never straight of just, oh, we're good. Oh, now we're perfect. Oh, we're literally balling. No, it's up and down, up and down, up and down. Really, really up and really, really down. And down for a really long time. And then shoot up for a little bit. Then straight back down. Or the opposite. Been good for so long. And then you just hit a plummet that you're like, oh, sick. I'm done for. Great. You'll be good. I promise. And we're all in this together. Pinky stinking promise that you ain't going nowhere. And if you break this stinking pinky promise, I ain't gonna be happy. So don't do that to me. All right, I'm gonna answer some of these questions that I have spoken so much. I feel like I talk so much, and then I'm like, dude, you literally have a podcast. You're meant to talk this much. And I'm like, well, but what if people think I'm annoying? And I'm like, if they thought you were annoying, they'd just click off, doofus. I'm like, oh, what if people's clicked off because they think I'm annoying? I'm like, oh my word, dude. Stop caring. Just speak. Anyways, I'm going to start from the bottom and go up. Okay. How do you keep your mind from racing thinking while sleeping? I feel ya. I feel you so hard on that one. It's kind of like the thing that I talked about with my ADHD, where you can't sleep, and not a lot of sleep leads to your body becoming anxious because it just doesn't have the energy to fight the anxiety. As well as OCD causes me to, the second my head hits that pillow, I'm constantly thinking, just grabbing at intrusive thoughts because there's nothing else to do. There's no more distractions. There's no more things keeping my brain occupied. It's just me and myself, and it's one of the most terrifying things that I've ever experienced. So for me, what has really helped is I have a sleep spray. I just got it on Amazon. I don't even know what it's called. Oh, I can't even see it, but I can try it. I'll link it. Actually, I'll link the sleep spray I use. I don't know if it's whatever it's called, placebo effect, where just your brain thinks it's gonna help, so it does. I don't care. Good for you, brain. Thank you. Put me to sleep. Or if it actually helps, I spray that. And then I listen to guided meditation, which I will be honest, sometimes I don't because it is boring. I'm like, why can I not just put on Ludwig's Among Us or Corpse and Saikuno's Among Us? That's what I want to listen to. I don't want to listen to this. It's just boring. But you know what your brain needs when it's time to sleep? It needs something boring so that it goes to sleep. It doesn't need to be entertained. You do not need to be entertained to go to sleep. I'm one of those people. I'll turn on the TV. I'll turn on YouTube. I'll turn on Netflix. I want to fall asleep to a fun little entertainment. No. Because guess what? Your brain's going. It's listening because it's entertained. You know what your brain won't do? It won't fall asleep. Or it'll take longer. So, I struggle sometimes of being like, dude, just put on the guided meditation. You know it helps. And you know that it'll put you to sleep. So do it. But yes, guided meditation. I listen to this guy named Jason. It's free on YouTube. That's something my therapist recommended for me whenever I was having really bad panic attacks on tour. And you close your eyes. He takes you through this whole journey of closing your eyes and relaxing your body. But it's not just like, okay, now breathe, now sleep. Because I wouldn't recommend that because that doesn't work for me. It takes you on this whole like, okay, now you're climbing up a ladder and you meet the younger you, and we're talking to younger you, and like takes you on this whole journey. And there's so many. There's anxiety ones, there's sleep ones, there's mind racing ones, there's ADHD ones. There's literally so many different ones that he's done for specific things, which I'm so appreciative of him for doing that. And he's not the only one. That's just the one I use. There's ones you can pay for. There's free ones on YouTube. Guided meditation has really helped for sleeping, but also just whenever I get really anxious and I can feel an anxiety attack coming, I will put that on, and it really helps to kind of ground you and bring you back, not even bring you back to reality, but bring you into a different reality. Because sometimes I feel as if I'm trying to bring myself into back to reality whenever I start getting anxious. It makes me even more anxious. I don't know why, but I get even more scared when I realize like, oh my goodness, I'm getting anxious and I'm bringing myself into a fake reality, but now I need to go back to it. Guided meditation brings you into this peaceful, calm reality, brings you into this, your own kind of brain, but a peaceful version of it, if that describes it well. So guided meditation has really helped the most with my mind racing. I know a lot of people, melatonin has helped. Personally, I don't take melatonin just because I've never found one that actually has helped. But if you can find one that helped, let me know because I'd love to try it. As well as magnesium. I know magnesium is really good to help balance because a lot of the time, people with anxiety or depression or OCD or literally a bunch of mental health stuff, you're lacking vitamins. And I'm not trying to be like, just take vitamins and you'll be good. No. But you can add to your help. If you have not started taking vitamins, vitamins are really good. Your brain doesn't have hands. It can't shake you and be like, hey, yo, we're lacking. It can't do that. So you know what your brain has to do? It has to make you feel off so that it can be like, dude, listen to my signals. I'm making you anxious. We're lacking stuff. Help us. It's literally like pressing all of its alarms that it knows to press to try to get you to pay attention. So sometimes you're lacking in vitamins. And one of those is magnesium. I have some right here. I also have some downstairs. And I know some people take magnesium in the morning and at night, and it helps their sleep cycle. It also helps their anxiety. So if you want to look into that, there's a bunch of magnesium, just pills or powders out there. I know there's teas. I used to make a little water drink / tea before bed. I just didn't really like it. And I didn't really think it was doing anything for me, but I also didn't take it long enough. So if you want to try like chamomile tea or any of that to feel more at peace, for me, I don't really like those teas, so it's more of a chore, and I'm more so like don't look forward to my night because of it. And it's like I'd rather have issues sleeping than not look forward to my night. So there's a bunch of stuff out there to help with sleep, to make you more sleepy. I know some people say 2 hours before bed to get off blue light. For me personally, I have tried that. I've tried getting off social media and my computer and screens and just reading or kind of just laying there. But for me personally, I will lay there in bed. If I'm not sleepy, like if I got in bed at 11, stop touching screens, read a book, just journaled, and then just laid my head on the pillow, I'd be up till about 4 a.m. because my brain goes, hey, I'm not sleepy. Hey, we're not sleepy. Oh, goodness, guys, we're not sleepy. Guys, we're not going to sleep. Guys, we're not going to sleep. Guys, sound all the alarms because we're not sleeping. Now we're scared and we're anxious because we can't get to bed. What if we're up till sinking 6 a.m.? So it doesn't do good for me to get to bed and like in bed when I'm not sleepy. And so I usually get in bed around 12 or 1 a.m., which I wouldn't recommend because I know for some people they gotta get up at like 8 or 7 for work. But right now that is the time I go to bed. But I'm about to start a little part-time job, so I'll probably be getting up at 7:30 a.m. So I'll probably be getting to bed a little bit earlier. But I do think sleep cycles and patterns will also help with mind racing, because if you're tired, your brain doesn't race. It just says, bonk, I'm asleep. I do know that has happened before. I've been so tired I just pass out. And so maybe if you can help your sleep pattern to where you're actually tired when you go to bed, that'll help. That's a bunch of different stuff. I have dealt so hard with that though. I feel your pain. I feel your struggle. I have literally looked up every video. I followed those army videos of how they can get themselves to fall asleep instantly and tried every single one since I've been like 15. I've tried and tried and tried and looked up how to stop your brain, how to stop. I think for some people it is just like if you have ADHD, that's the main one I know. There's no stopping it. There's helping to control it, but it is just the way your brain's chemically made up. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just we got to learn how to adjust our lives so that we don't suffer from it. How do you know who to tell when you're going to a counselor without being judged? Wait, how do you know who to tell when you're going to a counselor without being judged? I'm not really sure what this question is asking. But if anyone in your life is making you feel judged for seeing a counselor or a therapist, I'm sorry. Like, I know it's really hard to drop people and cut people off, but like, their opinion can't matter. So either drop them, have a discussion with them, and be like, hey, yo, you're like, I'm bettering myself. I don't know what you have against me bettering myself, but like, stop. Or their opinion just can't matter. Because I had felt weird for going to see a therapist, even within my family, and no one had said anything to make it like that. I just kind of, there's a stigma around it. There's like oh, you're going to a therapist, you must be like depressed, and it's like, well, I was gonna say, well, yeah, but like, there's a lot of other reasons to go to a therapist. And even if you are going because you are depressed, there's nothing wrong with that. People shouldn't make you feel wrong for going to better yourself. If you were coughing and you were throwing up and you went to a doctor and you said, hey, yo, I'm going to the doctor because I feel awful, what would people say? Okay, where's the hand sanitizer? I don't want to get sick. No one would say, did you hear that they're going to a doctor? I can't believe it. They must be depressed. I'm sorry. I had to make the joke. But no one would say anything. you're going to a doctor to better yourself, to make sure you're good, to get medicine or to get talk to them about it and have them be like, oh, well, just wait it out. It's just a cold or whatever. No one would judge what you came back with. If you came back with medication, if you came back with a doctor's note, if you came back empty handed, if you came back and said, I'm going again in 2 weeks, no one would say anything. You know what you would get told? Okay, I'm praying for you. I hope you get better. So why is it not the same with a therapist? You know, whether you're going for something very minor, or if you're going for childhood trauma, or if you're going for recent trauma, or if you're going because you and your partner are having relationship issues, there should be no judgment, because you're purely just going to a doctor to get help, and that's all it is. And I'm so sorry if someone in your life has made you feel judged for doing that. And if this question is talking about like being judged by your counselor, I went to a therapist, my first ever one, and I never went back to a therapist for a year because I felt awful. I have never felt so anxious. I literally, the peak of my anxiety attacks bring me back to that place. Literally can't do breathing exercises, because the second I start doing a breathing exercise, the second I try to get my breathing under control, you know where I go? Back to that first therapist office, because it was so bad. It was so bad. I've never felt so invalidated and like a joke. And I was just like, oh my word, this is awful. Get me out of here. And all I can remember is like, she had us blow on a pinwheel, and I called her pinwheel lady for so long afterwards because I was hurt. So I made some jokes. Probably not the best of jokes, but I definitely called her pinwheel lady and was like, oh, it's okay, just blow on a pinwheel. You'll be fine. Your leg just got cut off. Just blow on a pinwheel. Life is good. Just blow on the pinwheel and you'll be fine. You're bleeding out? Nah. Blow on the pinwheel. So if your first, second, third, fourth, 10th therapist makes you feel judged or it just doesn't click, it's okay. But don't give up. Because it is humans. You gotta click with the person. I just got lucky with my second person. We clicked, but I didn't go to her in the first place because I thought we wouldn't. I literally said, no, I'm not going to her, because I judged a book by its cover and said, no, she is not gonna understand what I go through. And then guess what? She literally has some of the exact same things I've been through, and her childhood has looked very similar to mine. And I was silly Billy bunghole. So just my little advice of, if your counselor's making you feel judged, I would say maybe don't go see them and try to find someone else if you are able to. What's the most helpful thing your therapist has done for you? Oh my goodness. Where do I start? I would say one of the first most helpful things is diagnosing me, giving me answers. I'm a very I need answers type of person. I need to be told what is wrong and how I can fix it. I don't want to sit in what's wrong, but I also need to know why I'm doing things. You can't just say, hey, take this medication. I need to know why. I need to know what is wrong with me. I need to know where in my brain I'm different from others. I need to know what I can do to change that. And so she was able to diagnose me and sit with me and talk to me about my diagnosis. And it was really, really nice. And it was really hard, because I had never been vulnerable with someone like that. I had never told someone the things that I told her, and I was like, oh crap, I feel like one of those, like, I feel like a typical person who's bottled everything up and is finally letting it out and breaking, and she knows that I'm doing that. And so I felt self-conscious because, like, she knows I'm a person that's bottled everything up, and this is the first time I'm being vulnerable, and she knows that I'm gonna break, so I refuse to break because I'm not. And then I broke, obviously. But it was really nice. One of the other most helpful things was probably she hugged me. Oh my goodness, am I gonna cry? I don't want to cry. She hugged me, and she told me she was proud of me, and that was nice. And that's all I'm gonna say, because I refuse to cry on this nice night. Literally sitting here telling you guys, like, it's okay, show your emotions, don't be afraid to cry. Refuses to cry. I didn't say I was best at taking my own advice. But yeah, her telling me she was proud of me and all the progress that I was making. She does it all the time, but probably just most recently she hugged me and told me, and I was like, oh no. don't do this because I'm gonna cry in your office. But it was really nice. And then probably just some of the other things that she's helped me with personally, which I'm not gonna talk about because again, that is just the part that I'm going to keep for myself. As of now, just I don't really want to put that all on the internet. But just explaining like things I was going through and having her talk me through it, which is what a therapist literally is there for. They're trained to talk you through it and help you, which is why I recommend a therapist, because they will tell you things that change your life, because only people that are trained and study about those things can actually like tell you things to change your life. Yes, other people can't. Like I could technically say something to change your life, but if you told me something you dealt with, I might give you advice, but a therapist might bring you all the way back to your stinking childhood and be like, what about this root issue? And then make you bawl. So I don't know. A lot of the things that she's told me that has changed my life is just personal things that I've brought up and have her been like, well, let's trace it back to this root issue and this and this. And I was like, oh my goodness, life changed. You literally just told me things I've never known. So, um, why does stress and anxiety belong together? Uh, again, I'm not a therapist, so I don't know, but my guess would be that as our body gets stressed, that cortisol and all that stuff, the emotions and the chemicals that release can get mixed up with the emotions of anxiety and cause anxiety to arise. I know sometimes when I get super stressed, the same emotions and feelings I'll feel when I'm anxious arise when I'm stressed, and so my brain goes, "Wait a second, we felt these before. We're actually anxious when I'm actually not. It is just those feelings." But also being anxious is very stressful, and being stressful is very anxious. So it just plays hand in hand, unfortunately. How do you deal with anxiety? I've been on meds in the past, but they don't help. I feel you. um, deal with anxiety? No, well, um, I think managing your anxiety is, at least for me, it is my main goal. Fixing my anxiety seems like such a outlandish, unachievable goal right now that managing it feels more comforting and more like achievable, and I can hit goals better. If I said I want to fix my anxiety and have no more, I would have never hit a goal. But because I said manage it, I've hit so many of my small little goals. So uh I I am personally not on meds for anxiety. I am medicated for my ADHD, which has helped my anxiety because it helps with the racing mind. And they told me that if this doesn't help, we can try anxiety meds. But they also said anxiety meds take 6 to 8 months to even see if they work. So they said, we're going to start with this first because you'll see results. If you have ADHD, you'll see results within like a month. So let's try this first, and if it doesn't work or it makes you more anxious, we'll try the 6 to 8 month anxiety meds, but those will take longer. Um, but even with my ADHD meds, I mean, I still deal with so much anxiety, and it's very confusing because I'm like, is this stemming from my ADHD? Is this stemming from my OCD? Is this just anxiety? Is this just a normal anxious moment that my brain is playing up? Is this, am I actually uncomfortable or am I just anxious? Is my body, is this intuition? Is this a gut feeling or am I just anxious? It's so hard, dude. And I feel like meds can truly help, but they can only do so much. You got to pair it with a bunch of other things. So for me, pairing it with lots of water and lots of food, which is really hard because for someone who deals with a lot of negative emotions in their body, it gets really tough to eat because I'm just not hungry. Because obviously, if you've made yourself anxious to the point of nausea, you're not going to want to eat. Plus, my meds kill my hunger. So it's like I just forget to eat. They also allow me to focus now. So I just get super focused on something and forget to eat. And I also still do in moments of just like I'm just so overwhelmed. Pieces of my past with food do come up and I just don't even want to eat food. And so it does get hard, but pushing myself through all of that to snack and get food and get that protein, brother, and sinking protein it up, that has helped. And it is a good thing. So pairing that with the meds, with sleep and with relaxation and taking a break and being okay with not being the number one worker or the person on top. Being okay with being like, hey, these people are working right now, but what I really need is a bath. I'ma just go sit in the tub. And for some people, they'd be like, I'm a better worker. And it's like, good for you. I need to go sit in a hot bowl of water. So pairing it with just relaxing and knowing what helps soothe you, as well as managing, if you can, find some of the roots and triggers of your anxiety. And are they avoidable? Are they things you need to work through? Are they something that maybe avoiding it is the reason it's still coming up because you need to actually work through it instead of avoid it? Um, is it songs you listen to? Are you putting really negative things into your body and your brain, which is causing your brain to react a certain way? Is it the food and the quality of food you're eating? Um, Personally, I think if you eat a bunch of fast food, like if you want some fast food here and there, go for it, homie. I just had Taco Bell and it was amazing. But eating Taco Bell for every meal might make you feel mentally like poop because guess what? That's government food right there. And that's something I'm saying about that. But yeah, I think it's for me it's more so managing my anxiety and managing the things that are around it. And it is why I took a step away from the band because it was such a large root of anxiety. It was not worth it to me to continue pursuing a career that was killing me and pursue a career that I couldn't survive in. And being in a car for so long and on tour that didn't have a schedule was OCD. Having every day be completely different and never having something that was the same, I was done for. Yes, sink in, face your OCD head on, but I was not only facing it head on, I was telling it it didn't exist in a reality where it definitely did. I want blackberries. Holy crap! I just had such a huge craving for blackberries. Um, but yeah, just my advice is don't look at it as like I'm gonna fix it. I won't be perfect now. Look at it as what small things can I do to help better it. Maybe I can drink more water. Maybe I'm not actually hydrating myself. Because can I tell you, I literally drank, whoop, earthquake. I literally drank like a gallon of water one day. Mentally felt fantastic. And I was like, did Jesus just provide a miracle? Am I healed? And then the next day I drank like a sip of water, was like so anxious. And I was like, oh my word, water does do something. Which sounds stupid, but like, have you drinking water today? Take a sip. If you haven't, take 2 sips. Um, but yeah, I if meds haven't worked for you, there are a ton of different meds. But if you are like, I'm done trying them, I want to try something else. Vitamins, water, sunlight, walks, fresh air, baths. There's certain like what are they called? Essential oils that can help. Just trying to find a bunch of different smaller things and maybe winding down your schedule to where it's not slam packed full of things. If you have to say no to people for your mental health, please don't feel bad about it. I've been there. I've literally cried because I'm like, I'm a terrible friend. I'm a terrible human. I'm not going out with people and I suck. No, you don't. Don't let that voice tell you. Guess what you're doing? You're taking care of yourself and your brain. And you're saying no so that you can be there in the future to hang out with them. So please don't kill yourself to go hang out with people because it's just going to lead to you burning out and prolonging that process of you healing. So don't feel bad to say no to hang out with people. My nose is so itchy, dude. I don't know what I got into. Uh what to do when lonely. I have my own things, just want a second perspective. I have spent a lot of my life feeling lonely, but I think it depends if you're an extrovert versus an introvert. I'm an introvert, and so I do enjoy my alone time. So I'll read, I'll play games, I'll paint, I'll draw, I'll journal. There's so many things I'll do when I'm alone. I'll work out, just go for a walk, listen to music. And I have been there where I've felt genuinely lonely. Like, wow, I feel like there's no one actually here hanging out with me ever. Or I feel like I've not actually interacted with a human in so long. I genuinely feel lonely. I feel like no one is there for me. And to that, I would say reach out. Reach out to someone. Because no one can read your mind. And no one can be there and be like, oh, that person feels lonely. You don't have a giant sticker on you that says I feel lonely, no matter how frowny you are. Some people just don't want to assume you have a resting bee face. So I would say that reach out to someone, find new friends, go to your favorite activity and find someone there and be bold and speak to them. I personally am not good at making friends. I suck at it. And I suck at keeping them. Because guess what? I'm a very picky person. And I'll be like, ooh, I'm annoyed with this person. So, but try. Try. And you'll get there. Oh, my camera's about to die. Uh-oh. How in the world do I deal with my burnout and my faith? Oh my goodness. This is a huge one. I know with me, sometimes when I get super overwhelmed with my faith or my relationship with God, or I get burnt out on it, I am putting a lot of expectations and rules on it when that's not what it is. It is a relationship with God. It is not a bunch of rules or checklists I have to write off. And I feel like when we start making it feel like work in our human brains, we get burnt out instead of just having a relationship with God. And it is going to take work because a relationship with a human takes work. A friendship or a romantic relationship takes work. And sometimes, you know, you feel really, really like connected to that person, and sometimes you don't. And that's okay. But whenever it becomes a checklist, that's when it feels more like work. And I would just suggest that kind of taking a step back and being like, let me just talk to God instead of being like, I have to pray now. I have to do this. Let me just open up my Bible and read instead of saying, I have to do a devotion. I have to do this many pages. I have to read this many chapters. And just actually sit there and soak it in and actually just sit there with God. And treat it more so like a relationship, and don't feel like you have to do things. Just allow yourself to be there with God. That's really helped me. And it's hard at first because I'm like, I'm just letting myself be an excuse of a bad Christian. No, you're not. God knows. God's not sitting there being like, they're tricking me. They actually just don't want to hang out with me. No, he's a loving God who literally created you and your brain. He knows how you work. So that is my advice for that. Let me do one more because my camera's about to die. When do you think it's the right time to tell a group of what you experienced? I would say whenever you feel comfortable and safe to open up, take that chance and do it. Because there's been multiple times where I've been like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to open up and tell people. And I give myself 3 seconds and it's gone. And I won't say a thing. So the second you feel like maybe you can open up to someone, jump on it. Do it. It's hard. It's really hard. But jump on it and do it because it could change your life and you could maybe change theirs. Maybe they're going through the same thing and they need to hear it. And make sure it is someone that you trust, because if you open up to someone that you don't trust and their reaction is bad, it could cause even more issues. So please just make sure it's someone that you trust. And also, I would say make sure that person is someone who is able to hear that stuff. Because there is such a thing as trauma dumping on someone. And if they are not in a good place to hear it and you just unleash everything on them, it might cause them issues. And I know for some people, they're like, always come to me no matter what I'm dealing with, do it. And for those people, do it, go to them. But if someone has politely asked you, like, hey, I'm going through a lot right now and I really can't hear some of this stuff, I would say just respect that, you know? Respect that they can't hear it right now because they're also going through something, and find someone else to open up to because there is always someone. So that is just my advice for that. I think that is all for right now. That was really, really fun. And I could keep talking, but my camera is about to die. And also, it is almost 9. And I tell myself I will stop working at 9. So I have 5 minutes. So thank you so much for listening or watching to this episode of Ludacast. There is a new Ludacast episode every other Tuesday. So if you want to subscribe to it or leave a 5-star review, go for it. If you need anything, I will link some links down below if you need to reach out to someone. Please do so. Please know that you are loved. Please stay here on this earth. It is worth it. It is worth fighting. I've been there where it feels like it's not, and it feels worthless and hopeless, and there is no point. Trust me. Trust me, future you wants to be here and knows there is a point. Even with still dealing with things, they know there's a point, and they will be glad that you stayed here. So do it for them and do it for younger you, if there's no one else to do it for. So please stay here with us, and if you need anything, again, reach out to those links, and you've got this. I pray for you guys all the time. I truly do. I pray for the community. And just know that I'm here for you. And I love you. I truly do. I truly do care about all of you. So Mental health is not easy, but it is not weird, and you are not alone. And I promise you, there'll be many more episodes like this because it is something so close to my heart. So I love you guys so much. I'm not gonna do the classic outro because I don't have it with me, and my thing's about to die. So leave a 5-star review, something meanie, something queenie. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next Tuesdays. I'm gonna go get some blackberries. Goodbye.
Oi, oi, oi.